So part one, we just covered the basics. Part two, we covered part one of the structure. Part two, we're going to actually go into the code. So we said that we have a project which actually goes onto Amazon search results pages and just continually scrapes through them. So let's have a look at how it's done exactly. We have the manifest.json, which is all our permissions. By the way, what happens is that we fetch the data from content.js, from the actual web page of Amazon. We send that to the background.js page, and the background.js page sends that information to a server. So let's have a look at what it looks like within our settings file called manifest.json. We have our permissions over here, which has the debugger, which allows us to get the response to a specific request on the page. Okay, I forgot to mention that actually, let's say I want to show you exactly what it does. Let's go back into the page here, into Amazon, and if I load Amazon, I'm gonna look in the network tab over here. I'm gonna refresh the page, and I see actually when I load Amazon, I get all this stuff over here in the network tab. I can go into XHR, and I can see actually what's happening, right? And so the request URL is made to a specific URL. That information is fetched by the Chrome extension, and you'll see that there's also a response to every XHR request, and this response data can also be fetched as long as you have the debugger setting turned on Chrome, on the Chrome extension. So that means you're not fetching the data straight from the DOM, straight from the page. You're fetching it from the network tab, all right, in the developer tools setting. All right, so that's the most powerful thing about Chrome extensions. You're actually getting access to the entire functionality of the Chrome browser. And in this case, we're getting access to the network tab within the Chrome developer tools, and we're going to take that data and so on. So let's have a look at what exactly happened here, because I know that there's a page, there's some request which is being made that gets a good amount of the request, the data back, but it looks like they're not doing that anymore. It's possible that I'm going to have a look at, because I know this code worked several months ago. Let's have a look. I'm going into the background.js page to try to debug it, because we saw that it's actually not getting the data correctly. So it says this is pretty much something that I found. Let's see, params and response. All right, so the params response URL includes graph. Okay, so what this listener does is it listens for an event. On the event that the response URL contains the word graph, then take that data and then make an AJAX request to our server. So I'm going to have a look here, and feel free to ask questions if it doesn't make sense. I know it's kind of a complex topic that we're jumping into, but I felt like it's a fun project. Okay, so let's go back into the developer tools, and I'm going to do a search for the word graph. Ooh, I see something. No. Is this a preview URL? Do I have the word graph here? I don't think I have the word graph here. Feedback, lazy load. Okay, it's possible that I'm just going to take this string and see whether it has the word graph in it. Oh, I don't have the word graph. Okay, so that's pretty much why it's broken. It's just, but that event is firing. So that's my question, why it's actually firing. Oh, it is firing. Okay, so again, let's try to debug what's happening. And sorry for the confusion, guys. Let's first of all, I'm gonna go into my content.js page because it was going way too fast, right, guys? Well, okay, so we're learning as we're talking about how to debug it. I think the only thing we need to do is actually set up the server, and I probably have the server or maybe I just never set up the server for this project. But all right, so this is the content.js page. If we look in our manifest.json file, we see that the content script section, we put in an array, and we say that the content page is going to be js/app/content.js. All right. And in terms of the background is an object on the manifest.json file, and that's going to go to background.js page. All right. And we don't have a pop-up.js in this particular case, but if we did, we would define that within our manifest.json file. So back in our content.js page, we see that there's a loop index. We're looping here, and we say local storage.get item loop index. Okay, if there is a loop index, then you should actually get the item loop index. Loop index equals the item from local storage. And document.onError is a function, console.log event. The nice thing about the onError is that a lot of times if there's if you're scraping and there's an error, then and you're trying to create a loop, then having an error will just stop the Chrome extension loop entirely, and it's not going to loop to page 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 100 because it's going to be stuck with that red error in the web page, and nothing's going to happen. But this is actually prevents that, and it listens for any errors. And if there's an error, whatever, a specific web page just didn't have the element you were looking for, it's going to keep on going. It's just going to log the error, and it's not going to interrupt the flow of the JavaScript looper. Okay, the JavaScript code. So a wait function is just to wait as long as you want. All right. And so on. Okay. If window.location.href includes amazon.com / I guess s, which is the query, equals funny gifs, then you should do the following action. And it says here, send to background. We have another function here called send to background. Send to background function. Let's see. Loaded Amazon search page. Okay. It's interesting. It says let Amazon data equals document.querySelectorAll.sg call inner. Okay. So it's grabbing something, right? This is the content.js page. We said that it has access to the DOM. It's grabbing something from the DOM, and it's saving it in a variable called Amazon data. And it says if Amazon data has any value, console log the data and send to the background. And the send to the background function sends it to the background.js function using the Chrome extension API for interacting between the content.js page and the background.js page. All right. And that API is chrome.runtime.sendMessage. And with an object in there, it's that simple. I'm sending an object that has a type data source, which is going to be right, the data source, which is passed into the query. The data source is Amazon, and the data itself, which is Amazon search results data. And finally, after it does that, it's going to go on to the next page. And the nice thing about Chrome extensions is I can also control the URL. So I'm gonna say the URL is not going to equal the URL is going to be Amazon.com. Let's see, next page here. Look in the next page function here. We see the window.location.href equals Amazon.com / query equals funny gifs, s equals k equals funny gifs, and page equals blank. And that's how it goes into the next page. And we also have logic here. I know in this specific example that there's only 19 pages of search results pages, and that's why I set up a loop. If the loop index now, if you do loop index +++1 and it equals 19, just make loop index go back to 0 and go back to page 1 of the search results pages and just keep looping through it. It's not so practical. It's just for the sake of the example to prevent the infinite loop. All right, guys. So that was pretty good. This time the task is gonna be to slow it down because it's going way too fast, right? We want it to happen every 5 seconds. Let's see if I have am I using the wait function? I'm not using the wait function at all. So I'm actually gonna write on the top over here, wait 5 seconds, all right? And that's gonna That's going to pause the entire script for 5 seconds on each page. Okay, and let's go back into our Chrome extensions page. You should have that saved probably as a bookmark. I'm going to press enable the scraper. Again, I'm getting the scraper is debugging this browser because I have the debugger permissions turned on. And finally, what am I going to do now? I'm going to go back into the Amazon page. I'm going to refresh the page. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it goes back to page 0, as you saw in the URL, from 18 to 0. I'm going to count to 5, and then it goes into page 1. Okay? And let's count to 5. It's going to go into the page 2 of search results. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now it's on page 3 of search results. Okay, and now in order to debug it, we go into the extensions page. You can always, by the way, reload it if you want to get update your changes instead of just load unpacked and refreshing it. You press reload, and we can go into the actual the URL that is saved at. We can also inspect what's happening in the background.js page. That's a nice feature. You say inspect views background page. It's going to have a log, and you can log anything that's happening within background.js. Let's go into background.js, press console.log. All right, we'll get a little bit more into the debugging stage a little more in part number 3 of how to actually debug it and listen. It's going to also talk. Part 3 is also going to be about the HTTP request going out to the server and getting deeper into how to debug it and how the background.js page works and why you should only use HTTP in the background.js page. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you in part 3 of Chrome extension basics.